Welcome to Rise and Relate with Rissa. And on today's episode, I will be discussing social injustices to Black women by Black women. And I know I have been gone the entire summer, but I'm back and I'm hoping to be a little bit more consistent with pushing out my episodes every single week on social injustices within the social work field, within everyday black lives of black men and black women. So just be patient with me because being a black woman is tiresome and trying to keep the glass balls from falling is always something I am working on. So here we are today. So, what do I mean when I say social injustices by black women to black women? So, I want to talk about the uprising in utilizing Ozempic, Monjaro, gluten, semaglutide to lose weight. And everyone kind of knows, you can see the celebrities, you have access if you have really good insurance to it, where you're paying like $25 a month to use a medication that actually works with helping you get overcome obesity, helping you with that in turns contribute to higher rates of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. So we finally found something that actually works without you having to be in the gym every single day, without you having to eat completely healthy, just something that will help Black women get past those plateaus that they can get within their fitness journey, or even Black women that don't have the discipline or don't have the time, the resources to be healthy because of environmental factors, lifestyle factors, genetic factors, all of these things. So when you think about a medication that reduces body weight by controlling the blood sugars, decreasing the appetite so we're not overeating to substitute for the trauma, for our emotional attachment to food, our addiction to sugar, then we're able to lower the risk of chronic conditions. So this becomes such a social injustice for Black women because we have access to it. Whether you decide to pay out of pocket, which can be pretty expensive, or you use your insurance, we have access to medication that can significantly change our lives, change our health outcomes, and make for better prognosis for chronic diseases. But though we have something that can essentially make our lives better, we are trained to shame and guilt people for taking this route. Just like we have done for decades for when Black women, quote unquote, want to take the easy route out. And this is where it's problematic. In the Black community, we have a habit of believing that we need to suffer through everything in order to get to our next goalpost. So if you think about that in the context of being a mother, we have to endure the lack of support, the lack of resources. We have to do everything for our children above even our own needs because that's what we have been conditioned to believe. We need to sacrifice everything while we're working so we can take care of our kids without giving ourselves rest, relaxation, resets, so that we can actually be better parents. So instead, because we have to suffer, we then traumatize our children. We never learn how to regulate our own emotions, so we can't help our children regulate theirs. So we're screaming, we're hollering, we're cursing. We are developing really bad habits with our kids because we are conditioned to suffer. I mean, right now we are in a kind of like an epidemic of Black women even choosing to be single mothers. Like we're purposely signing up to suffer when we don't have to because we've been conditioned to do that. We also do that within our careers because Black women that and I mean within the in the majority tend to work in direct level positions. We tend to be in these companies that do not serve our best interests, as far as career advancement, as far as pay, and we are subject to microaggression, racial trauma, toxic work environments. And we tell ourselves, hey, well, I got to feed my family. I got to do whatever I got to do to survive. So I'm going to listen to master. I'm going to keep showing up to that job. Hey, I'm just going to keep suffering when there are indeed other avenues, other options. And that is not inclusive to everybody because that's not everybody's situation. But for women, what keeps us in these career fields or these jobs is we always feel like we got something to prove. We feel like, hey, we are creating and even contributing to that harmful narrative that black women pain tolerance is higher than anyone else because we believe that, hey, I leave this job when I finally get diagnosed with this chronic physical disease, when I finally have a mental crisis that requires me to then be hospitalized, in a psych ward, when I completely break down and I'm like, I can't even get out of bed, function, take care of myself, then I decide, like, okay, maybe I can get rid of that job. And we do the same thing in our romantic relationships, where our idea of being in a relationship, whether that's in a marriage or in a long term committed relationship, is I have to endure the worst of the worst because then if I endure it, then by the end of this relationship, I will have the outcome that I desire, which is not true. One thing about men, women, people is if they never do anything to change that pattern of behavior, then you can guarantee whether 1 year passed by, 5 years passed by, or 10 years passed by, you can guarantee the same results. So staying and suffering do not yield you better results. And that's the same thing within our careers too. Like we'll sit and function with a job because hey, I'm trying to get this promotion. I'm trying to make sure I get a higher salary, or I just get to be in rooms that I can actually create change, but what do you lose in that process? And do you ever actually get that promotion? Maybe, in 8 years, maybe in 10 years, maybe never. Maybe they fire you before you even get there once you've dedicated your whole existing around these positions. But the narrative, no matter what, is believing we have to suffer and take the hard route for everything. And I often hear, even when I hear about mothers when they go to give birth, they're like, I did a natural birth versus somebody that did a C section with epidural. So it's like we shame moms that did a natural birth versus a black woman that did a C-section, as if we don't understand the systematic racism that is built into black women, one being able to carry a baby full term, and then when they get to the delivery room being forced into C-sections by their providers, by the people that they trust. So everybody is not in a position to have a natural birth, but it's like this almost this classism or this elitism that comes into play when we think about, oh well, I did it this way versus the way that you did it. But it's like we bring shame and guilt to our own people, but why? And I can contribute it back to internalized racism oppression, where we start to be those white people that we see. We start to say the same things that's been said to us, and we start to project these harmful narrative onto the people, the kids that we're raising, the friends that we have, the strangers that we meet, by the way that we think about um going about what whatever route to get to the end goal. So we're gonna shame a black mother that literally could have died in a natural birth because of medical biases that happens, racism that happens, but we're gonna shame you because you didn't have a natural birth. It's just really sad. And now we are at the trend of shaming black women for utilizing this weight loss medication that dramatically changes their lives. And I'm bringing this topic to you guys today because of my own experience. I am on Manjaro and I have lived in Japan for the last 2 years. And I have tried everything under the sun. I was consistent with one of my gym partners for about 6 months, but I travel all the time. So I'm constantly eating, drinking, doing these things that, like, always disrupting my ability to keep this discipline going. So that's one thing. But I also lack the motivation. Like, I am tired. And I'm like, you know what? Let me see if it's like a lack of motivation because the gym that we have here in Japan is real small. It always smells really bad. It's really sweaty. It's not that kind of environment. And for me, environment means everything when it comes to my mental health. So going into a gym that's clean, that smells well, that's well kept, great. But the gym that we have is not well kept. It is super crowded with a whole bunch of males and their egos, and it just is not a comfortable place for me to work out. So I'm like, let me see if I buy myself a machine that I put in my house that allows me to do strength training in the house, and then I can go do more cardio outside the house or inside the house because I do have a cardio bike, and see if that changes my motivation. I bought this $500 in-house gym and it still didn't work. I still was not motivated to wake up, to work out, to do anything. And honestly, it can be the location that I'm at. I'm so far away from my family. It could be my work. Like, I'm kind of really deep in my career, and I'm deep into my businesses. So I'm usually very exhausted and really tired. I kind of just it could be my home environment because I live in an environment that is not one that I chose but was given to me. So it could be so many different factors. I don't know what it is, what is not. All I know is that I'm tired and I'm not motivated. So because I'm not motivated, I told myself that, like, sometimes you have to have a real talk with yourself. So whether that is plastic surgery, that is this new medication that came out, I need something else. So I went on my gyro. I started my gyro, and it has worked wonders. I am losing weight despite my inconsistencies, despite my lack of motivation. I am losing weight and I am looking good, first off. Second off, I am getting myself out of the range of obesity. So I'm healthier. I struggle with high blood pressure, so that helps regulate my blood pressure, my sugar levels. So overall, I'm just a healthy being. So now that I've been on it for about 6 months, I am starting to implement a workout plan that will help me maintain the weight loss, keep the weight loss going, and keep me healthy so I can get back into that discipline because losing weight allows me to have more energy, to feel better about myself too. Because, it's hard putting on leggings and feeling like you still can't fit in the leggings that is meant to stretch you out for my big body. So I'm finally in a position to do that. But now when I bump into people, I hear comments, and it's like, it's so weird where people say things like, "What are you on?" instead of like, "Hey, you look good." Leaving it at that, like, "Hey, you look good," or "Hey, what kind of gym?" Just instead of like making the assumption of what are you on, like almost like what kind of drugs is you on, and I'm just like, why can't other black women see black women and be like, "Well, you look good." Do it matter how I look good, whether I sat on that table, whether I took that medication, whether I went to the gym? I look good nonetheless. But because it has happened to me more times than I like to admit, of someone straight up asking me, "Hey, are you on Ozempic?" It's like, dang, is there a shame? And this is why I wanted to do this segment in this episode today. Like, is there shame about it versus somebody that's going in the gym versus somebody that's on the medication? Because I want to bring awareness to this so that if you are somebody that is on your fitness journey and you go to the gym every single day and you eat healthy, that you understand not to shame the next person for the route that they decided to take. But the end goal is for all of us to be healthy. The end goal is for all of us to look good. So let's not be upset at somebody else taking a different route or saying comments like, "You're taking the easy way out." But my rebuttal is, what's wrong with the easy route? Why do black women always need to take the hard way out? That's the question we should ask. Why do we always need to take the hard way out? Because the problem with obesity in the black community, especially for black women, is because of our mental health. It's because of our genetics. It's because of our lifestyles of being in places and positions in our lives where we got to work multiple jobs to make a decent living, where we got to juggle all these responsibilities, where we got to still try to wake up and outbeat the racism, these systems that's not meant for us. So, yeah, when it's time to go to the gym, we might not have that 30 minutes. We might be tired. And if you tired, how are you going to do a workout when you haven't ate all day because you're struggling from depression? So you don't even have the proper nutrients to be at a gym working out, where you can seriously harm yourself because you're suffering from depression and you have a decreased appetite. So you know, only thing you're surviving off of is a cup of caffeine. So realistically, how do you muscle up the power to exert something that you don't have when you already pouring more of yourself into your job, into your children, into your relationships, into your social life? And then you're like, hey, I got to add this in. And most of the time, when we get busy, our health becomes our last priority. And it shouldn't be like that, but systematically, that's how it works, because we have other things that are just a tad bit more important. And though we will love to position ourselves as the priority, which we should be working on all the time, is because we really can't do anything in any of those domains without being healthy. It just it's just really playing into just our reality, because I can wake up at 5 in the morning and go to the gym, but then if I work all day and then I still gotta come home, cook, I still gotta clean, I gotta do all these things. Then the only time I actually feel like I get to have time to myself is mean I gotta stay up late. I gotta stay up to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., and then go to sleep and wake up again. And I'm exhausted. So it's really like a double-edged sword. So it just becomes this endless cycle of being burnt out, being tired, and we really should stop in our community. If you listen to this to the end, just be really intentional and mindful of how we approach the next time we are upset at the way somebody has chosen to go about a choice that could be the same goal as ours, but they went about it a different route. Just like if I am a black woman and I go get a job and I only got that job because of my connection, why would I be mad at the next woman? Use your connection, use that leverage. Why do we have to be like, well, I applied for this job too, why didn't I get selected? Let's not be mad at each other, y'all, because the real fight is to fight the system itself that forces us to pin ourselves against one another. The real fight is to fight this system that tells us that we got to constantly be in a rat race. The real fight is fighting the narrative of we are not good enough. So we got to continuously overcompensate, overwork, burn ourselves out in order to get a seat, in order to be promoted, in order to be considered a great mom, a great father. Like, we need to stop. Like today, y'all, we need to stop doing that, because it is harmful and it's such a disservice. Because if you say, well, I'm not going to do that stuff because I rather go to the gym. Well, you've been trying to go to the gym for a long time. It hasn't worked. So why not try something new? And I think this is also goes to the topic of, we have let the dominant group trick us out of our seat every single time, trick us out of our spot every single time. And what I mean by that is just like that, oh, I'm going to keep doing harmful things and then expecting different results. How? We won't go to mental health therapy. We we won't try to go on and take on new challenges. We won't leave that relationship. We constantly do things that further exasperates our well being and, diminishes our mental health for the sake of, hey, I can outbeat it, but you doing the same thing, getting the same results. So why not do something different? Because I decided that, hey, if I got access to it and I can afford it and I'm not losing weight, it's been 2 years. Like, I done been to the gym consistently. And the thing is, I've been on a fitness journey since for the last 10 years. So since what, 2014. So I'm not new to losing weight, gaining weight, eating healthy, having a lifestyle, being able to have discipline where I travel and I work out and I eat. I'm not new to that. But in this season of my life, that doesn't work. So if that doesn't work, why wouldn't I try something else? Just like if I can't focus and I'm experiencing all these ADHD symptoms, why wouldn't I just try the medication? Because the outcome of the work that I'm producing is not even up to the level that I know I'm capable of doing. So why not try the medication? And it works. It don't work. Okay, I stop taking it. At best, it allows me to create new levels, new segues to being productive. So I'm gonna end it with this. Be intentional. Be intentional with your words. Be reflective when it comes to thinking about the things you say to people. And in the black community, we have it bad being like, oh, dang girl, you gained a lot of weight. Dang girl, you letting yourself go. Dang girl, you skinny. That where we are constantly focused on weight. Y'all do not understand that that is another thing that the white man have told us to do, to hate ourselves, hate our hair. So we have colorism, texture, texturism, where we're always focused on the texture of our hair, and we literally hate our bodies, body dysmorphia. And let that be a problem that you work with within yourself so that you do not project it onto the next person. And let your choice be your choice and their choice be their choice. As long as it does not impact you, let it be. So thank you guys for tuning in today. And I look forward, my next episode should drop next week because I really want to talk about this Project 2025 and project and talk about the uprise of Trump in this whole purge and how harmful that is, and why, regardless, we need to be out there voting for all of our local officials, our congressmen, so not just our president, but everybody that we put into office, because it matters. It matters, or we are going down a route of destruction, and all we're going to be doing is repeating the same topics that I'm talking about right now that keep the inequalities going. Thank you guys for coming with Rise and Relate with Rissa, where we rise up and we relate deeply.